Hello and welcome everyone, I am Madals and I am here casting with the After Hours Gaming League, and we have got some awesome games coming up. And I say we because I am here with a very special guest. She's from the After Hours Gaming League. Would you like to say hello, Corin?
Hi everyone, so we are currently in week 4 of After Hours Gaming League. This is the B League, and on the red side we have AMD versus, I'm going to butcher this name so much I apologize ahead of time, Paravita Solutions. And so getting started here in our first game, it is 0-0 so far currently, and on the top right hand corner here we have Phaedrus here on the side of Paravita Solutions playing the blue Terran. And in the bottom left-hand corner, we have SQNeo representing AMD as the red Zerg. And also as a side note, SQNeo is actually the captain on the side of AMD.
So they're going out with their best player first, are they? Do you know?
Well, no, it's just their captain, so probably someone who's better with organizing things, just making sure there's, some amount of paperwork you have to do with After Hours Gaming League, so just someone who does the due diligence, scheduling, stuff like that.
Cool. Now, in terms of running down of what these two are going to be going for, of course it's worthwhile noting out for anyone who doesn't know, these are on Heart of the Swarm. And as we can see already from Phaedrus, he is getting down a gas before the barracks. And of course, one of the really big changes in Heart of the Swarm is of course that Reapers no longer require a tech lab. So I'm definitely thinking we could be seeing a Reaper opening from the Terran. Meanwhile, for the Zerg, obviously we're getting a hatch down, and I don't know about you, but I love more aggressive openings. It can make things very fun in my opinion.
Yeah, so looks like this will be on the Cloud Kingdom map. Can you talk to us a little bit about the matchup here on the map?
Well, I mean, Cloud Kingdom, a Reaper opening is obviously going to be really, really strong, just due to the fact that there's such a large area of cliff all the way around the main base, and that just means that if a Reaper does come out, you can be able to get straight up into the Zerg's base, start picking off drones, and start being really irritating. Although, by the looks of things at the moment, it's not going to be a Reaper. There's a factory getting thrown down now for Phaedrus, so perhaps we're going to see some Widow Mines. I know lots of people have been having fun with those. I don't know if you've had the joy of seeing some Widow Mine action yet.
Well, I did watch StarCraft 1 Brood War back in the day, so getting back the spider mines from then should be pretty interesting. And actually the drone here, gonna go ahead and build an extractor in the main base, just kind of being really annoying. Scouting out everything, meanwhile no SCVs yet one is now about halfway across the map, not there yet, and looks like SQNeo's drone is going to get finally blocked out of the base, but of course he did see the factory as well as he did see the reactor going up.
Yep, he has seen the, I believe he saw, if we flick over to their vision, yeah, he saw the reactor coming up. So of course you're going to be worried about Hellions straight away. And I'm actually really quite surprised that we're getting Hellions here rather than, say, Widow Mines, because a Hellion expand hasn't been used for a long time in StarCraft 2. But with Widow Mines coming out, it's become a bit more popular to get them very early on, because there's no real way for a Zerg to deal with them without detection. And so you can really get a hard contain up on a Zerg player very early on in the game, which can be really annoying to deal with. As we're seeing at the moment for Neo, he's just happily going about his normal business. He's getting down additional workers, he's just getting a small amount of gas, ready to start getting speed, no doubt, maybe start his lair up. And that means that this Hellion aggression is probably going to be very, very good indeed. As you can see, there's only a couple of units outside the base and a queen. So hopefully these will be able to slip in when they get over.
And they are in fact now heading up to the Zerg base. Just a couple of Zerglings. The Spine Crawler is going down, but it's only about half built at the moment. The Hellions don't decide to go in though. Seems to be dissuaded by this queen here standing out front. Queen's actually going to walk out and start hitting the Hellions. Looks like they're going to back off. The Spine Crawler is about finished, so that will be up by the time the Hellions decide to come back in.
Now, of course, those Hellions, they do have to be a bit careful, just purely because of the queens being there. There's a good number of queens out already, we're already up to 3 queens, and I personally think getting those extra queens out early is a good move, because it means you can spread the creep, and especially against Terran, they don't like engaging on creep just due to the extra mobility Zerg units get from the extra speed, but what we're seeing actually come down now is that Phaedrus is getting out a couple of tanks, a couple of marines, and is still on one base. He's got the 2 gas ups, so he's going to be going for quite a substantial one base play, and for the time being at least, it looks like Neo's going to be okay to defend it.
And about halfway done with the Zergling speed, no other tech structures down quite yet, starting the Carapace as well on the Evolution Chamber. You know, what's a good counter for the Zerg here? You know, what tech should they go for?
Against something like this, when there's only a low number of marines, you can really hold it off pretty much with pure Zergling, but the big change with Heart of the Swarm is the tanks don't require siege mode to siege up. So actually one of the best things in my opinion Neo's done in order to prevent this push is spread creep, because obviously those tanks, they're going to have to be moving forward up onto creep where Zerglings and specifically Speedlings are going to be able to just close the gap down very quickly. And as such, I would imagine Phaedrus is not going to want to move up too fast, but we can see that the Hellions are coming, Corin, and well, this is going to be a tough hold for the Zerg player.
Yep, and like you mentioned, now Siege Tank already with the Siege mode. Gonna go ahead and get started. Set up here, 2 tanks already on the high ground. They are not in range of the Spine Crawlers. Actually gonna go ahead and use a scan to take out these creep tumors. So, nice setup here outside the base of Neo.
Indeed.
Looks like Neo is going to head in. 1 tank is not sieged up and does get taken down immediately. These Spine Crawlers all moving forward, taking a really long time, and this is the worst part. You're just watching your Spine Crawlers burying in as they lose health, but they do finally get set up, and so with these Spine Crawlers here, it looks like he is going to be able to easily hold off the tank push.
Indeed, there's a couple more tanks coming across the map which have managed to siege up now, but by holding this high ground, I think this is definitely going to be the case where Phaedrus is going to have to move back and really be careful about this counter push. The Zerglings are coming up in, they're going to get us around on at least one of these tanks. The second tank could very well go down as well, and that's a big loss when you consider that the Terran player is still sitting up just on one base.
We have 2 tanks now going down for free, basically just for a couple Zerglings. So now 60 supply for Neo to the 44 on Phaedrus. I don't see Neo going for a counter push though. We do see just the Spine Crawlers, and so far I think only Zerglings for Neo.
I think that's a good choice, to be honest, in this situation, because once he sees that there's no natural expansion down, he knows that he's going to be quite substantially ahead in terms of the economy. I mean, it's already 44 drones to the 27 SCVs, and with a Terran player who's already got tanks out, you're going to be thinking, hey, I can't easily break that tank line. I mean, looking at the main base right on the edge there, we do see a tank sieged up very nicely, and as such, that would be so difficult to take down. It would do so much damage. You need some really good tech, and I think that's a wise move by Neo, getting up his lair before trying to do anything too aggressive.
Yep, and nice amount of Zergling spread here. Has one in the 3rd base, and an Overlord just kind of hanging out around the rocks as well, so making sure to keep track of what his opponent's doing. The Zergling's also at the watchtower, and nice creep spread. Nope, getting started once again in his base. Gonna go ahead and spread the creep back out, so good amount of map control so far for Neo.
Indeed there is. Now, this Hellion is going to scout out that actually the 3rd base is coming down. That's pretty bad news for a Terran, thinking I'm a base down, but luckily for Phaedrus, he is taking his own 3rd command center. He'll probably stay in the base. That Hellion gets taken out running by an awful lot of Spine Crawlers, but all in all, we've got an Infestation pick coming down. We've got a good number of Spines and a good number of Evo Chambers. We might even get the pleasure of seeing some Swarm Hosts to try and break the siege line of Phaedrus right now.
Yep, and looks like Phaedrus actually managing to get hold of the watchtower on his side of the map again. Fortunately, the Zergling's going to come here and get rid of the SCV, so...
Luckily the SCV did survive though. Those Hellions managed to come back, save the worker in time. That's always a good guy army when you come back and save your scouting SCV. You don't want to let them die. Too many are sacrificed in the war effort, but as we can see now, this Hellion is just being a bit irritating, trying to regain the map control. That's really smart move, but of course the Servants coming up will pick it off. We've got Pathogen Glands coming down at the moment as well for Neo. So going to be going for Infestors, and apparently they had just a massive lag spike there.
Yeah. And Given that it is a replay, it's like, a bunch of things happened and it's in real time, so a whole bunch of time passed, we don't even know.
It could have been days. They could have just been sat there with their computers just like, we've really got some work to do, our bosses aren't happy about this, but we've got to wait for it.
Yeah.
Of course, not a problem, now you can resume from replays though.
Oh, yeah. Actually, it's a really cool feature. I don't know if this was in the other, if it was in Wings of Liberty, but I think I guess you have the button there where you can start the game from any point.
Yeah, they've just added that into Heart of the Swarm. It's such a cool thing to do. Except it's not backwards compatible. The first thing I did when you could do that is I just straight away went and got like one of the most awesome games I ever have seen. And I loaded up the replay and I was just like, I'm gonna play it, and there was like, this feature is not backwards compatible, and I was just like, oh. Bad times. But we should probably come back to this game. We can see at the moment Hive is coming down for Neo. Meanwhile for Phaedrus, he's just turtling up hard. He's got missile turrets down to prevent muta harassment. He's getting his Thors out. He's going for a mech style army. And just in general, wants to hide behind this line of tanks as best he can. And it looks like the plan of Neo is to just tech, because if you've got a turtling Terran, you just want to get out Broodlords.
Yeah, and also taking the bottom right-hand expansion as well, just also placing a Zergling pretty much at every base on the map, so he knows exactly how many bases Phaedrus is on. Feels very safe here. It's going to be about 4 bases now to the 2 of Phaedrus, so also about 2,700 minerals stocked up, just, not really being able to spend all that money given that he's just getting so many resources compared to the 2 bases of the Terran.
And now, I think it's worth pointing out, which is something we didn't mention for someone who isn't familiar with the After Hours Gaming League, it is just open to any skill level. So, I don't know if you know what level these 2 players are at, but it can be anything from new players all the way up to top Masters level players.
Yeah, and we do have it split into A League and B League, so in A League I think you'll see a lot more, of the Masters, Platinum players. I don't remember what the cutoff is. I think about Platinum, I think you can have 1 Diamond player on your team or something like that. The rules are stricter if your company has an A League and B League, but if your company just has 1 team and just wants to play for fun, then I think the rules are a bit more lax as to, what kind of players can be on your team.
Which I think is good, because you don't want to have someone just whitewashing, but I think it's good to have it open to all, because I know we were talking about this before the game, that some people, you get really quite anxious about playing, unless you are really confident in the game and how good you are. And my one bit of advice to everyone is just play. It's good fun. Don't worry too much, don't stress.
I'm not gonna play. It's just, I don't know, competitive gaming doesn't really work for me. It's not enjoyable, it's just too stressful. And I mean, even in the beginning, right, like, you have placement matches, and of course Blizzard does a great job placing you, in a league where you have an even chance of winning, but even at that point, I don't know, it's just way too stressful, I can't deal with it.
Don't worry, I know you're not alone with that, lots of people don't like that. But of course, have you tried the unranked ladder, where you don't have to worry about winning or losing, it's just for fun?
It doesn't matter, it's not about the fact that it's ranked, it's just, it's so stressful.
Now, we do actually have something cool coming in here. We've got some Burrowed Infestors on their way into the 3rd base of Phaedrus, and this is going to be a lot of harassment, but there is a missile turret there, so detection can be gained, but it's too late. There comes down the flank growth and the infested Terrans. A lot of workers are going to go down here. This was a nice little trick by Neo, and it's also re-burrowed those Infestors and got them out alive, and that is certainly going to be frustrating, with 12 workers getting killed there.
Yeah, unfortunately, with the mules all stacked up there as well, so a really, really high concentration of SCVs and mules getting taken out.
And that's, again, not something you want when you don't know, but your opponent has a 4th base hidden down in the bottom right. Now, the big thing that's just happened is the Great Aspire has finished. We've got a good number of Corruptors out, and there's a good amount of money, and there we go, 9 Broodlords morphing in, and every Terran player watching right now will know that it's going to be a bit tough, especially when the Viking production has only just started.
Yeah, but it looks like supply is actually not, well, never mind. Supply jumping all the way up now for Neo, but originally he was at about even with Phaedrus, but really I think he was just waiting for his tech to get up before he started spawning out. And there goes all the Broodlords. Is he going to go for an attack here? Just a giant clump of red on the map here with all the Zerglings and Broodlords now slowly making their way over.
Indeed, it's one of these tough spots where, unfortunately, the composition to really beat that is you just need a good number of Vikings. But we do have a Zergling run-by coming straight up towards the main and natural. And as we can see, some more SCVs are going to go down. We've got Phaedrus pulling back all of his army. It is a very sizable army, but this is of course leaving his third exposed. And as we can see, those Broodlords are just starting to inch forward.
Yep, slowly making their way up, but really no air defenses for Neo either. Gonna go ahead and start taking down this command center. And now running into the third base. Zerglings are everywhere, just actually all the Broodlings basically completely surrounding the command center. But hey, once it's lifted, there's not any damage really. Infestors being the only units able to attack air, but here comes the fight. All the fungals going down, all the infestors getting thrown in, and looks like Terran made out alright. Now Phaedrus' supply a bit higher, and will be able to take out these Broodlords here, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing a good job. The interesting thing is actually these Thors haven't switched into their high impact Halo mode, which does do more damage. But these Vikings alone are able to start picking this away. And we can see the supply for both players has actually leveled out massively. But importantly, for Phaedrus, is he's killed off all of the Broodlords. So most of the supply for the Zerg just sitting there with Zerglings, a handful of Infestors, and is now trying to get up an Ultralisk cavern, maybe trying a different approach in the tier 3 tech.
Yeah, and that's the annoying thing about Zerg is, you know, if you want to tech switch, you just build one building and you're good to go. And it looks like the Zergling run-by now coming into the natural once again. A lot of this is SCVs already damaged from the first Zergling run-by, trying to get back to the main base. Actually, the supply depot will go up, so they will not be able to go back home. The Zerglings are just going to run in and take them down. And the natural command center going down as well, not being lifted. These Zerglings are actually doing a good amount of damage onto the tanks and Thors.
Again, it's great damage when you see it getting done. We do have the supply depot to the main game taken as well, and there's still a few Zerglings there. But the real big number, 53 SCVs have been killed by Neo so far this game. So he's looking in a really comfortable spot. It's 63 drones to 29 SCVs on the field. But of course, Zerglings, they don't do well against Hellions, and they do even worse against Hellbats. So I'm loving the new really interactions you get in the matchups. Once you start seeing actually Hellbats are out, they really give a good way to defend, even against Broodlings as well. It makes the mech army a lot stronger in that sense. So as we can see now, the Zerg player is just remaxing out on an awful lot of Ultralisks. So we do have, I believe it was 14 out. That is going to be a tough army to try and beat.
I feel bad for these Hellbats, you know. Normally as Hellions you can just run around, zip around the map. Instead now you have to carry all that stuff on your back and just walk around.
Well, I mean, they can switch back. It's like a choice. It's quite good. I mean, how many people would be like, yeah, I feel like being quick and agile today, and then being like, actually I need to bring the groceries in. I'm just going to switch into a mode where I'm big and stocky and I can just carry anything. And I think that'd be quite useful actually. I wouldn't mind being able to do that.
I mean, if I had to travel across the map, I'd switch into Hellion mode. I wouldn't want to walk around carrying all my stuff. I think it should be nice.
You can put
I
it
think
on tanks,
Phaedrus needs to be nice to his Hellbats and allow them to switch into Hellions when they travel long distances. Looks like they will get into the engage with these Ultralisks. Ultralisks everywhere, and actually 2 battle cruisers as well. They will get bungled by the Infestors, but this is basically a purely ground army. The Ultralisks immediately take down pretty much the entire army, of course, now just the Vikings and battle cruisers as well as a Banshee left.
And they're just trying to slowly pick away at these Ultras, but unfortunately the Ultras do have the +5 armor upgrade, and the battle cruisers don't have any weapon upgrades. So they're only doing 6 damage a hit against a unit that has 6 armor. So 1 damage per hit. It's going to take a long time to kill an Ultralist.
There are 2 Ultralisks in the red. They are not being focused down, and Ultralisks being too fat. They try to move up into the main base, give up on that, deciding that they're not going to make it through.
Now,
just going to turn around.
One thing I have noticed is that these Vikings are getting an awful lot of use. they've got there, they've instantly landed, starting chipping away at this hive. And because all the ultras are the other side of the map, it is actually going to go down. I don't remember the last game I have seen where Vikings managed to stealth kill a Zerg's hive at the 27-minute mark. And this is the sort of thing which you always miss out on when you only cast top-level games, because you don't get to see fun things like that go down.
That is true, and the Ultralisk moseying all the way back to their base. Gonna go ahead and clean that up. The Corruptors there just making sure that the Vikings couldn't just fly up and run away, so that will get cleaned up. 2 battlecruisers still sitting out in the middle of the map, you know, scouting out for his team.
They've decided to defect from the war effort. They're just like, no, we're done with fighting. This is a lost cause. There's ultras with 6 armor, and we do so little damage per hit. It's just futile. And of course, these ultras are now coming in. We can see this third base for Phaedrus is very tight to hold here. At least all of the SCVs are going to die. And this is just pretty bad times for the Terran. We're trying to come into the bend, and these Hellbats are putting up a valiant effort, but I just don't think it's going to be enough for it.
Yep, and actually Corruptors now coming in, so these battlecruisers finally won't be safe either. And any targeted down, one will go down shortly, and yep, there goes one of them. The other battlecruisers are pulling back. There are 2 more on the way, but so are new clump of Corruptors coming in. Just 3 of them though. I don't think they're going to be able to take. Oh, more coming in. All right. Might be able to take down another battlecruiser here, getting focused down. And 3 Vikings here as well, just trying to help save these battlecruisers. The battlecruisers now finally turn around, realizing that they really need to deal with these Ultralisks in the main base. But like you said, no weapon upgrades. It's going to be a long, long time before they get enough damage down. Finally take 1 down. Not really focus firing. A lot of these Ultralisks are pretty unhealthy, actually. 3 of them up in the top with barely any health, and they are just ransacking all the way through the base of Phaedrus. This will be game soon, I believe.
It should be, of course. One problem that Neo has is that he had nothing to attack the air. GG, well played, does come down,
Game
and that,
paused.
of course, is going to be the end of game 1, and it does go to Neo. So make sure that you like this video, leave a cool comment, and of course subscribe, and then flick over to the channel, and we will see you at game 2 any second.